Todd Bowley and Baghdad Eghbali have been vindicated. Vindicated. Yes, I said it. Todd Bowley, Baghdad Eghbali have been vindicated. Vindicated. And I'll tell you why. When they came into the picture, one of the things that people have kept on saying about Todd Bowley and Baghdad Eghbali was the fact that they knew little to nothing about football. Hence, that was the reason why they sacked Thomas Tuchel as the manager. They said that you could not sack a Champions League winner and then bring in somebody like Graham Potter, who had won next to nothing in the game of football. And that was right. But with time, it looks as if that Todd Bowley has been vindicated. Guys, this is Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. My name is Fiifi-Manfred. Thank you very much for choosing me here on Fiifi-Manfred. Thank you very much for being with me here and then being my friend, consistently having conversations about football. In today's edition, we'll tell you a beautiful story of why Baghdad Eghbali and Todd Bowley have been vindicated as owners of Chelsea Football Club. And then I will link it to why Bayern München's effort to sack Thomas Tuchel after 3 failed attempts with Hansi Flick, with that of Julian Nagelsmann, and then currently that of your man Thomas Tuchel, is a very, very bad man. So we'll get into all of that conversation. My name is Fiifi-Manfred. This is Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing me here on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, it's time that you subscribe to the channel. Turn on notification now and subscribe to the channel. If you've not subscribed to the channel, turn on the notification now and subscribe to the channel. I'm waiting for a subscription. And of course, in the comment section, I want to hear from you. Do you think that Chelsea have been vindicated? Do you think that Baghdad Eghbali have been vindicated? Do you agree with me that Baghdad Eghbali and Todd Bowley have been vindicated? Or do you think that it was a right call? It wasn't a right call to sack Thomas Tuchel at the time, and then even as it stands now, everything is fine. So let's start the story like this. When Todd Bowley and Baghdad Eghbali came, there was that story of how Todd Bowley, Baghdad Eghbali consistently will call Thomas Tuchel into a meeting. And then Thomas Tuchel at the time had asked the owners how do they want to play. And then they put out a certain bizarre formation, which was more than one of the players that ideally has to play a football game. And the story was out, and people called Todd Bowley, Baghdad Eghbali names. And I kept on saying that I can agree when people feel that a team is not getting results at that point in time. They're not getting the results they're supposed to get. They are new to the job and whatnot. But for somebody to own an equity, for somebody to have an equity that grows, that gets results, that is one of the best in the world, I don't think that it is right or it is in the right direction to just wake up and think that these people are just bank stupid or bank average and they don't know what they are doing. I felt that was a non-starter in all of these conversations. But the conversation went on all again. Now, fast forward, Chelsea went to get Graham Potter as their manager. Of course, the results plummeted even before he started getting good. Chelsea did not get good results. Graham Potter had to be sacked. And then people said, okay, fine, we told you, the guy is not good enough and everything. But you remember that during the final part of Thomas Tuchel's reign, there was that 3-0 loss to Jesse March's Leeds United at Ellen Road. And then there was that infamous loss away also in Croatia in the Champions League. And then all of a sudden, Chelsea began to drop points and whatnot. And the owners felt that they had to cut their losses on. And I remember at the time, I had spoken to a couple of people who were close to the situation, a couple of colleagues in the UK. And they told me that, hey, in fact, the issue with Todd Bowley and Baghdad Eghbali and Thomas Tuchel is because the owners think that Thomas Tuchel isn't in tandem with them when it comes to how they want to build a team. Tuchel doesn't want a team of young players who will begin to build a project and then go on and succeed later in the future. He wanted a team that was ready to go from the onset, and that was something that was a little bit not a right thing for them. The owners wanted to take their time. They wanted to do a couple of things like cutting down of wages of players, having performance enhanced clauses, having a multi-club system, and all of that. And Thomas Tuchel at the time wanted to win, and rightly so. He had won the Champions League, wanted to build on that so that his legacy could go on. Because of course, tactically, I don't think that Thomas Tuchel all of a sudden is a bad manager. But it is the story of how Thomas Tuchel has issues with almost every sporting directorship that he has met along the line in his career. And it started from Dortmund. He had those issues with the sporting directors at Dortmund. again, there was a story at FC Mainz 04, and I remember there was that story where the Mainz sporting director at the time had mentioned that if he had been consulted by Dortmund before they appointing Thomas Tuchel, he would have asked them to decline on Thomas Tuchel. Then again, there was the issue at Paris Saint-Germain again when he was there. Then Chelsea later part of the issues, and then again later on now with FC Bayern Munich, and we'll delve into all of that, and now we can make a conclusion or not if really your man Baghdad Ekbali and then Todd Boehly have been vindicated by everything that went on over there in there. So how long in there Thomas Tuchel backed by Bayern, the nightmare start. Mainz 04 was my special relationship with Thomas Tuchel. What did Chelsea boss Thomas Tuchel do at Bayern Munich and then FC Bayern Munich? Live vlog Thomas Tuchel see Bayern Munich's problems, and then increasingly what's next for increasingly toxic Thomas Tuchel. So most, if you go and you read these things, and it tells you how Thomas's issues when it comes to clubs, sporting directors, over time becomes very toxic, and he tends to lose the dressing room. And it started from Mainz 04, and then for Dortmund, all of those things happened, and then he went into Paris Saint-Germain, and then now Chelsea at the time, and all of this stuff. So I think it happens. You see, sometimes you remember that Romelu Lukaku interview where he did mention in there that he had personal issues with how Thomas Tuchel relates to some of the players. And today at Bayern, at the Sabenstrasse, almost everybody in Bavaria is beginning to understand that they feel like Thomas Tuchel is the problem. And especially it is even more bizarre in the context of the situation where at the time Julian Nagelsmann, who was the manager of FC Bayern Munich at the time, had a 100% record in the Champions League at the time. He was a coach that you could not beat in the Champions League. They were en route to go and meet Manchester City. For Bayern at the time, they believed that Thomas Tuchel could go ahead and then, get the win that they wanted to get against against Manchester City. But Tuchel could not get that win for them. And then all of those conversations have come on. Now, as it stands now, the issue is that Thomas Tuchel is going to leave his job at FC Bayern Munich at the end of the season. And it is already bizarre that Bayern are announcing this at this point in time in the conversation. How are you announcing something like this at this point in time in the middle of the season? It isn't right. You can't be announcing a departure of a coach at the end of the season already now. And all of this is a little bit boring for Thomas Tuchel as a manager. It doesn't sit well for him. It doesn't sit well for everything that he stands for as a manager. And once the season goes on, even for the team FC Bayern Munich, how are you going to sack a coach? You announce it in the middle of the season. Where do you go from here as a team when it comes to FC Bayern Munich? And it's worrying. But for me, I think at Chelsea, the Thomas Tuchel ship has sailed already. It was clear that Thomas Tuchel could not, wasn't in the same wavelength with the owners of Chelsea Football Club. If anything is going to work, then it means that all of a sudden they would want to try and then build our relationship. If you're a Chelsea fan, do not think of getting Thomas Tuchel back at Chelsea. I just think that the owners are on a very good project. The project has become a little bit of a stop-start. Sometimes it goes forward, sometimes it comes back. And those things are normal when it comes to new projects with young players and whatnot. And you want to be a little bit patient. You want to be a little bit calm. You don't want to stress things so much when it comes to the Chelsea project. But in my opinion, I think that Todd Boehly and Baghdad Ekbali have been vindicated, especially when they go on this season and then they grow the project and whatnot. And it's a dent on Thomas Tuchel's image when it comes to even to world football as it stands now, because you don't want to be having issues with your sporting directors everywhere that you go. You don't want that at all. You want to make sure that at the very least you have some very good relationship with them, because almost in every working environment, every superior wants to have a good relationship with their subordinate. Every superior wants to make sure that in the workplace they are not falling out with almost everybody. There is the issue with Joshua Kimmich and how he hasn't been happy in recent times of how Thomas Tuchel and his backroom staff has treated him and all of those stuff, and all of a sudden Thomas would have to go. So it's big issues, but for me, I think that it looks as if Chelsea did the right thing by letting Thomas Tuchel go. The Carabao Cup is going on. It's going to come on in the next few days. Chelsea set to be preparing. Axel Disasi, Thiago Silva out of the Chelsea team and all of a sudden it looks as if Chelsea have it well and excellent in Thiago, in Axel Disasi and Levi Cole. For me, Levi Cole is excellent with the height and everything that comes with him, with his hold up play, playing out from the back, the aggressiveness and stepping into midfield as a left-footed centre back. He doing it from this area is one of the best. And I think that also helps to reduce the amount of distance that Enzo Fernandez and then of course Moise Caicedo have to cover. It's very, very, very important. Very important that at this point in time you have two centre backs that increase the pace of Chelsea's backline. It means that the team can play a little bit very high at one, and they are going to play against the Liverpool side that are very good. My only worry is that Liverpool are almost dogs when it comes to finals. They know exactly how to play in finals and exactly how to win them. How are Chelsea going to stay in the game as long as possible? How are Chelsea going to make sure that they force Liverpool to get out of their blocks and turn possession over and then be aggressive and going to combativeness with them? Chelsea's team is largely technical, very, very technical midfield, very, very technical team. It's almost impossible for Chelsea to win physical battles against Liverpool. But again, you look at the conversation from the point of view that now this is a team where it's a physical team versus a very physical and also largely technical team versus a very technical team. Now, if Chelsea are going to have any chance to win this Carabao Cup final, then they need 100% to have all the control in the game. You may not mean physical battles, but you need to be as aggressive as possible. And the likes of Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez need to do that. And that's why it's very good for them, because they are going to have about 6 days to rest and prepare for this game. So the game model have to be spot on when they're playing against Liverpool. Klopp and Jurgen and then his team have a game today. But right after that, you need to make sure that you are up to speed and playing against the Liverpool team that are very dangerous to play against. It's a physical midfield and it's a technical midfield. We'll build up to all the analysis here on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. But as it stands now, it looks as if Todd Bowley and Baghdad Bali have been vindicated. I will see you